Every modern BMW, from the Baby 2 series all the way up to the big boy X6M competition, have packed a huge punch of power and perform extremely well, but there is one drawback. Almost every single modern BMW nowadays has one of the most ugly designs ever in the automotive world. The only sort of normal looking BMW nowadays is the BMW M5 CS, and speaking of which, I just filmed some videos for that yesterday on TikTok and for Instagram. But when you have a very ugly automotive design, and then you have a very good power plant that performs very well, mash them both together, and with the brand new XM concept, that formula stays exactly the same. We are going to go in everything that we know about the BMW XM concept, and then I'm going to give you all my thoughts on the design, because, well, it sure stands out from the crowd. The XM concept uses a 4.4 liter twin turbocharged V8 plus an electric motor, which makes it a plug-in hybrid, and altogether it produces 750 horsepower and 737 pound-feet of torque, which is exactly 1,000 Newton meters. And yes, an SUV has the title of holding the most powerful BMW M car. It's estimated to be able to drive with 30 miles of range using just the electric motor, so it's not that bad, but it is an assumption again, so it's not completely confirmed. This SUV is being made to celebrate BMW's 50th anniversary of the M Performance division, and around 85 to 90% of the car is done and ready for production. Apparently the styling is a tribute to the BMW M1 from the late 1970s, but I can't really even see anything that relates to the BMW M1 at all. I don't see any connections in the design between these two cars, and speaking of styling, we will be looking how the car looks from the interior and talk about the exterior design and give you my opinions in a little bit, but first we have to go over a few things. This car's competitors are the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT and Cayenne Turbo SE Hybrid, Audi RS Q8, Mercedes-Benz GLS 63 AMG, and of course we can't forget the mighty Lamborghini Urus, and this car will also rival against the new Ferrari PUROSANGUE, but that car hasn't come out yet and we don't know any performance figures of it. And speaking of which, make sure you check out my video about everything we know so far about the upcoming Ferrari PUROSANGUE. Link in the description down below to watch that video, and I really recommend you watch it. It's very informative video. A cool feature that BMW has put into the XM concept is the center caps inside of the wheels, so when you are driving they sit upright whenever the wheels are turning, and it's exactly what Rolls-Royce does with their cars. And if you're thinking,
oh, BMW can't do that,
well, they actually can, because BMW actually owns Rolls-Royce. Fun fact of the day. With the XM, there will not be any models that sits below this car, and in terms of that, I mean like the XM M440i or something like that. It will just be the XM and the XM only. But below the BMW XM in BMW's lineup, which is the flagship BMW SUV, will be the X6M competition, then the X5M competition, X4M competition, and then the X3M competition. Yes, BMW has made way too many SUVs in my opinion. BMW hasn't said anything about how fast this will be in a straight line or how heavy it is, but who really cares about how heavy an SUV is that has 750 horsepower and an electric motor. But I'm very excited to see how the XM will perform, and we will see that in about a year and a half when it starts to go into production and whenever it hits the streets. In terms of how the production model will look, the interior will look like it rolled out of the production line already, but I do have some thoughts I want to share about that, and we'll be doing that in about 30 seconds, but I think it'll just have the same exterior overall proportions, but a little bit less of those sharp angles around the car. And speaking of which, let's jump into the design of this crazy looking BMW SUV that certainly stands out. Alright, of course we're going to first start off with the front view, which is the face of the car. You would always want to see the front view before you see the rear view, and we will talk about the rear in a little bit, but let's just talk about this front because it is very, well, it makes a statement to every other SUV that's on sale right now. The first thing you will notice are, well, who else wouldn't notice this? These massive grills in the front. Now, this is really the only sort of form of cooling that BMW has integrated into the front of this car, because as you can see, if you look on the bottom of the pictures right here, there is no air air intakes on the bottom. I'm sure the production model will have some air intakes on the bottom of the grille, but this is the only sort of form of cooling that BMW has, so they have to make it as big as possible, I guess. But just taking a view at this,
Oh my gosh.
I didn't think the BMW X7's grille could get any bigger, but I guess BMW just proved us wrong. Now, when I first saw the teaser pictures that BMW put onto Instagram, I actually didn't like it at all, but now it's starting to grow on me a little bit. I know everybody says that, and I know everybody will say it looks so much better in person, and I do think it will look better in person, because like 99% of the time, it'll look better in person than when it's in pictures. But if you want me to redesign this car, tell me in the comments down below. But this grille is absolutely massive, and I do not really like how big it is. I think the production model will actually have a little bit of a smaller grille, but what I do like on this grille is the headlights. Not really the headlights, but the running lights are actually surrounding the entire grille, and I absolutely love the idea of that, because when you're in the dark, you wouldn't really know what that car is. Say, for example, the Ferrari F8 Tributo and McLaren 720S without the headlights on. Those cars, you won't really know what cars they are, because it just has one vertical line just going straight on the headlight, and it doesn't really have any sort of identification, and it doesn't have any identity to the design. But in this, it has a very, very strong identity to it, and you will know what it is as soon as you see it in the dark. Now, you actually have 6 individual running lights. 2 are these giant massive grille insert running lights, whatever you want to call it, but then the other 4 are on either side of it. Now, those look like the headlights, which are extremely small, but they sit on the top of the fender, as you can see right here, kind of in line with that. But there are 2 on each side. On the left there's 2, and on the right there's 2, so 4 in total. Now, as you can see, they are very, very small, and they don't look ready for production at all, but actually the real headlights are under those right here. You can't actually really see it because BMW has put something to make it look like flushed in between the bodywork and the bottom part of the grille that looks like it's in gloss black. I'm not exactly sure what material that is, but I think it's a very smart design by BMW, but also a very odd one. And another odd design feature are these massive triangles on the bottom. I just saw the brand new BMW 2 Series in person yesterday, and these massive triangles are on that too. I don't get why BMW has been doing that in their 2023 models, but I guess it's just, I don't see any point of this design feature at all whatsoever. I just don't think it looks good either. It's just there, and it's just there for no reason. I do like how the top of the headlights form into this line in the bodywork, and that it also forms into the roof, which forms into like some sort of C-shape. Kind of reminds me of the Bugatti Divo C-shape in a way. So the rear I actually like. I know that's quite controversial for me to say, but the rear actually looks good in my opinion. I really like the idea of the vertically placed exhaust. Many people thought, oh my god, it's going to be so ugly, but I actually think it kind of looks really good. I wish they were more diagonal, but then that would kind of look like a Lexus. But either way, this is a really cool design feature from BMW. I like the trapezoid shapes that they have on it, so there are 4 exhaust pipes in total, and it's a new approach to BMW's exhaust placement, so I think it looks really, really good. Now let's talk about the taillights. The taillights are kind of really thin, but these taillights do remind me of the brand new BMW 2 Series, as I am putting a picture of the brand new 2 Series rear. You can see the taillights stretch all the way into the thick rear fenders of this car, and it forms into this little turning indicator or reflector, whatever that thing is down there, and it just forms in between that. Now, as I was talking about the triangular design, it is the same thing in the rear. I don't get why they have this triangular design all throughout the car. It just doesn't make sense. I don't get why it did that. But they even have it in the interior, and again, we will be talking about the interior in a little bit, but we do have some sort of rear diffuser going on down here. It's not a massive rear diffuser because, of course, this is an SUV, and it doesn't really need a huge diffuser, because then it will look kind of odd. Alright, now let's take a look at the side view. Now, this thing looks like it came from Halo or something. The only curvy body lines that I see on this car are the rims, and that is literally it. Everything is so sharp and curvy, it kind of reminds me of the original Lamborghini Countach and Diablo. The way the fenders are, they're in sort of this angle that reminds me of Lamborghinis, and then you have this roof line, which is actually a pretty cool one. But then if you zoom in at the rear right here, you can see that it looks so complex. I don't get why and what the purpose of this complexity is in the design. It just doesn't make sense to me. And now let's look on the interior. And the first thing I thought when I looked in the interior was the first center screen right here that you have that is built into the infotainment system. And I thought exactly when I first saw this that this is straight out of a Mercedes-Benz. That is kind of sad for me to say that. but everything else seems to be like sort of new and innovative, and I like innovative stuff. That's why I'm not really a fan of Rolls-Royce, because they don't really do much innovative things. But the steering wheel, it looks very, very chunky. The steering wheel materials I like. It looks very luxurious. We even have two little sort of lines that are going on the steering wheel. Normally in sports cars, you have one that is going on the center, so you always know when the steering wheel is straight. But now you have two. It's a really new approach to how the steering wheel is, and if you look from the rear passenger seats, they look like they are a literal couch just stuffed into an SUV. And I actually like the look of that because it looks very, very comfortable and inviting to sit on. But look at the headliner right here. It is very, very complex. You have all these textures going on over here. It's like all these sort of pyramids everywhere. I like the look of that. I'm not exactly sure if the production model will have that or not, but I'm actually kind of hoping that it will because it looks really cool in my opinion. And would you rather take the new BMW XM Concept or the Lamborghini Urus? The Lamborghini Urus has a lot less power than the BMW XM, but it does have a lot better styling than the XM in my opinion. Maybe your opinion is different about that, but again, this is just my opinion. And go check out some of my other videos because I know you'll love them. And speaking of which, if you loved today's video, I know you'll love some of my other videos, so I recommend you go check them out. But I hope to see you in a future video. Bye for now. XM Concept, that formula stays exactly the same.